Well, this video would be slightly more accurate if I had a giant stuffed egg, but I don't. This is going to be another Digimon Friends video beyond the fact that I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt, but I have my Digimon over here on the bed, and the Digimon that I'm going to be talking about is Digitamamon, as it said in the title card. So Digitamamon interacts quite a bit with Matt and Joe, and then he also interacts with Mimi and Yoli quite a bit in the second season, or in one of the episodes of the second season. In the original season, the first time that we meet Digitamamon, he actually is kind of an enemy, or kind of antagonistic towards the Digidestined. Later on in season 2, with Digimon Adventures with Davis's group with the younger kids, he actually kind of becomes an ally. So I'll be going over that. So he's a little bit like Ogremon. Like Ogremon first appeared in the original season, he was working for Devimon, and then by the end of the season, he was friends with the Digidestined. So, you know, there's a difference there, you know. Just like with humans, Digimon morality can change. We see that with Digitamamon. So the introduction that we get for Digitamamon is during the time frame when all the Digidestins are split up when they're on the continent of Server. This is after Tai and Agumon have gone to the real world. Technically, if you follow the timeline section correctly, it's kind of starts probably during that time frame when Tai and Agumon are in the real world before they come back. We're introduced to this restaurant. The restaurant is owned by a Digimon called Digitamamon, and he runs it, and he has a Digimon that's called Vegimon that works for him, which is kind of a vegetable-looking Digimon. Joe and Gomamon stop there to eat, and what had happened was Digitamamon only accepts US dollars. Ken only has Japanese yen, or Digidollars as it's referred to in the dub. So Digitamamon forces Jen and Gomamon to work to pay off their bill. And he continues to do this. Ken appears to keep having all of these accidents and, you know, breaking food or burning, you know, breaking dishes, burning food, you know, causing other problems, wasting materials to just make his debt go higher and higher. And what ends up happening is Matt shows up. He's, you know, gone off, you know, he's left TK at this theme park, and I've gone over TK a little bit for what was going on at the theme park with Devimon. Matt shows up at the restaurant. Him and Gabumon show up, and he arrives and he tries to help Joe work off his bill. And it's just basically to ensure Joe's safety, Digitamamon appears to threaten that Joe will have, you know, may come about with and have some accidents. We find out that Digitamamon is actually being paid off by Devimon to keep Matt and Joe at the diner. To keep threatening, to keep telling Joe, or keep telling Matt, oh, well, you know, it would be horrible if, you know, this, you know, an accident happened to your friend type of thing, like, you know, kind of like what the Mafia does. It'd be, you know, it's a nice story you got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it type thing. Or in this case, it's, you know, Joe's your friend. You don't want him to get hurt, do you? Type thing. And, you know, Joe is kind of naive in that case. He gets better, of course, by the end of the series. He's much less naive. And by the second season, he's, you know, quite a bit better when it comes to, like, okay, maybe we shouldn't instantly trust this thing. But in, you know, Digitamamon is, you know, ends up kind of threatening Joe to Matt. And then what ends up happening is he keeps also trying to hurt the friendship between Matt and Joe. Because, of course, Matt's crest is the crest of friendship over here. And Joe's is, of course, the crest of reliability. So Joe is, of course, very reliable, and, like, he's not trying to cause trouble. It just keeps happening. Of course, we know this is because Digitamamon and Vegimon, or Devimon, keep causing more and more trouble for Joe. Also for Matt to a degree. Also, this is one of the times where we see, yeah, Matt can cook because his dad can't. So Matt learned how to cook. Yeah, after his parents got divorced, Matt learned how to cook. And what ends up happening is, you know, as I said, Matt arrives and he's there for a while. And what ends up happening is, this is when Tai and Agumon and TK and Patamon show up. And, you know, they show up at the restaurant, and, like, Matt, you know, decides to leave, but Digitamamon knows that he'll lose money if Matt leaves, and, you know, he's like, then he threatens Joe again, and he has you know, he has a Vegemon grab TK to hold TK hostage, and he has Joe, and he's going to hold Joe hostage. And this is when, you know, Matt, you know, Gabumon digivolves into Garurumon. And then this is when Matt's Crest of Friendship activates, and Garurumon digivolves into Were-Garurumon for the first time. Showing that, yes, Matt is being a very good friend in regards to trying to help Joe, and he very much proved his friendship to Joe during the time frame when he was staying, you know, when he was at the restaurant trying to help Joe and keep Joe safe. So Demi Devimon's plan to get, you know, Digitamamon to, you know, make that stop is, you know, try to get, you know, like Matt's Crest to go dark or whatever, the same way that they were trying to mess with Mimi's Crest happens. Like, I'll say this here, Demi Devimon's ideas in trying to get the Digidestin's Crest to, you know, go dark or to become inactive aren't necessarily bad plans. I mean, you know, he gets Vatamon to take away, like, you know, TK, or take away Issy's intelligence. He tries to get Joe and Matt to, like, ruin their friendship, so Matt won't have his friendship. You know, his friendship crest won't work anymore. You know, tries to make Sora think that she's not capable of loving anyone. Puts Mimi in this situation where she has, you know, all these, you know, the servants, the Gekomon and the Otamamon running around, you know, giving all of her everything she wants. So it makes her very spoiled. I'll be going over that more in the next one, which will be about the Gekomon and Tamamon, or Otamamon and Shogun Gekomon. But back to Digitamamon, what ends up happening is, of course, Joe and, you know, Matt is able to defeat Digitamamon, and, you know, Digitamamon and Vegemon kind of run off with their tail between their legs. Digitamamon's restaurant does appear later on in the series. Near the end of the series, it's the restaurant. It's the place where Mimi and Joe go with Leomon and Ogremon. After they meet Leomon and Ogremon again, they end up, like, hiding out in the restaurant for a short bit, and it's, like, all discolored and burned out and everything. But then we don't see Digitamamon again until season 2. And, you know, it's the season 2 kids, Davis and his group, are eating at the restaurant. And what ends up happening is, Yoli ends up having this confrontation with Digitamamon because she doesn't have what she needs to be able to try to pay. You know, he wants Digidollars instead of, you know, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, this is when TK goes, hey, wait a second. I remember you from when we were here the first time. You, like, kidnapped my brother and Joe and, like, forced them to work. So we get, like, this backstory there, and we get Digitamamon, and they goes, oh, yeah, I know, I used to act that way and everything, and I'm sorry, and I've turned over a new, I think he says shell, because, you know, he's a giant egg with feet and a hole in a hole, like a giant cracked area for his eyes and such, but, you know, he's like, I turned over a new leaf type of a thing. I'm sure they put some pun in there or whatever with Digimon. But I was like, you know, I turned over a new leaf. I'm being better. You know, I'm, you know, blah, 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 blah. And this is when Mimi and Michael show up, and Michael then pays for the bill. And then we have this whole, you know, Mimi says that she trusts that Digitamamon is trying to be better, and what ends up happening is this is when, like, this Gorillamon shows up, and he's, you know, under the control of a dark spiral. He shows up and starts, you know, causing problems, and, you know, Mimi and Michael work together in order to defeat him, but it's actually a distraction because what ends up happening is Ken, and as Digimon Emperor, then goes and he puts the dark spiral inside of Digitamamon so he can control Digitamamon. This then makes Digitamamon kind of revert to his old ways, and he attacks Mimi, and this makes Yoli extremely angry, and he's like, ha ha ha, I lied to you. I didn't actually turn over a new leaf. It was a facade. It was fake. It was, you know, blah, 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 blah. This is who I really am, this mean guy and everything. And it, you know, it doesn't go very well. And this is when Lee, you know, does this whole speech about, you know, you're just mean and horrid and everything. You hurt Mimi and, you know, all this other stuff. And she was trying to be nice to you and everything. And then this is when, Yoli gets her Digi Egg of Sincerity, and then because the Dark Spiral is inside of Digitamamon, because he has, like, I'm assuming he has, like, a pocket universe inside of him, because Digitamamon is either a Mega or an Ultimate level, because he's actually very strong. And what ends up happening is Shurimon, they have to get inside of him to be able to attack to destroy the Dark Spiral, but it's not on the outside of him. It's not like on one of his legs. And like Shurimon uses one of his shurikens, his ninja stars, to like prevent the egg from closing, and then he is able to like dive inside and destroys the Dark Spiral, freeing Digitamamon. And this allows Digitamamon. Oh no, it's Pegasusmon and Nefertimon work together after he's trapped, and then Shurimon destroys the Dark Spiral inside of him, freeing him. And then Digitamamon is back to his much better self, and he apologizes to the Digidestin again, and he's kind of their ally now. We cut to further down in the series to after Ken is no longer the Digimon Emperor, and when they're actually dealing with Blackboard Greymon at the time. As I said throughout the series, throughout the kind of the video series, and I was talking about Blackboard Greymon, he ends up trying to destroy these things called Destiny Stones. I will talk about the Destiny Stones in their own video at some point, but he destroys these things called Destiny Stones, and the Digidestined are trying to track down these Destiny Stones before he can find them, and there's only one left. What ends up happening is they end up, first we see Arukenimon and Mummymon, and they end up going to like this kind of, I would call it like Little China or like Little Japan. I think it's like Little Japan because of course Digimon is from Japan and everything, so I think it's like based off of like Little China or Little Japan, something like that. And they go in, and it's like there's all these restaurants and everything, and they go into this restaurant that Digitamamon has there. And he also has a Digimon working for him called Tapirmon, who serves as the waiter. Well, in the Japanese one, it's stated to be a different Digitamamon, but in the English, it's just kind of supposed to be the same Digitamamon. But Arukenimon and Mummymon go in, and they eat at the restaurant, and it's really, really good food, of course, because it is stated that Digitamamon is an extremely good cook. We see this with the fact that he has a very successful restaurant in the original series and the second series. In the Japanese, it's stated to be a different Digitamamon, but in this one, it is. In the English, it's kind of supposed to be the same Digitamamon, which I'm perfectly fine with. But he has this restaurant, and Arukenimon and Mummymon eat there, and then the Digidestined show up because they're hungry. And there's like, oh well, there seems to be like the Destiny Stones in this area because like they're tracking it, and they go inside and they almost fight in the restaurant, but Arukenimon and Mummymon leave, and the Digidestined and their Digimon are very hungry, so they start eating. And they eat the food and everything, and like Arukenimon and Mummymon leave, and they start driving because they have a Jeep because reasons. They have a Jeep that they drive around in the digital world for reasons, and they end up coming across this this like hot spring, but it's like has like really good soup inside of the hot spring. Because digital world logic. This is when Digitamamon and Tapirmon show up, and they kind of attack Arukenimon and Mummymon. Arukenimon and Mummymon able to defeat them and tie them up, and then they're trying to drink out of the soup hot spring thing. And then it's revealed, oh, there's a Destiny Stone inside of it. This results in the Digidestined, of course, showing up and helping. And after they defeat Arukenimon and Mummymon in that case, and like there's this whole thing that happens with Blackboard Greymon, which I will go over in Blackboard Greymon's video, and in probably Destiny Stone videos, and then also in like when I talk about like the Celestial Digimon, or the Harmonious ones as they're referred to as in this series. But they get through, they defeat the Digidestined help, and then like as a thank you for helping them, because like it's kind of Digitamamon's and Tapirmon's goal or responsibility to guard this spring of tasty soup. Yeah, it's where he gets his tasty soup ingredients from. Um, and as a thank you to the Digidestined, he makes them this big meal as a thank you for after the battle. As far as I'm aware, we don't see Digitamamon again. I don't remember if we even see another Digitamamon in another season beyond like in the background, in like a later season or something, in Tamers or in Frontier. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't think they end up interacting with any of them specifically again, beyond like them maybe being in the background. And like there's no other Digitamamon, there's not a Digitamamon that shows up in like the Digimon World Tour where they have to go through and find stuff, and there's not a Digitamamon that's like any Digidestined's partner as far as I'm aware. I don't remember what Digitamamon's Digivolution line is, but maybe I'll do that in a different video at some point. But I just don't remember. There's not really too much else about Digitamamon. Yeah, he started off as an enemy in the original season, then kind of got his shell beaten, and then he ends up becoming their ally, dark spiraled, and then stays ally. I would assume that at times, like if the Digidestined returned to the digital world for other reasons, that Digitamamon may still make them meals every now and then. They probably still have a tab, and they probably still have to pay the tab. And they probably make sure that they have like either the Digi dollars or the yen or the American dollars or whatever it is that he states that he's taking at that point in time. And so he uses that, so he probably is kind of an ally to them. Maybe helps them every now and then. Tapirmon, I really don't know anything else about Tapirmon, at least not that specific Tapirmon. He's a waiter. He's very polite. Digitamamon is a good cook. That's what we have for Digitamamon. He's a hard shell, but he's got a nice soft, he's very soft on the inside. Yes, I know that's a bad joke, but I'm sure that it's a joke that they made in Digimon because it's a pun. And Digimon is full of puns. Just like Pokemon is full of puns. So I thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.
Oh, so you want a piece of me too? You think you'll do any better than her? I'll knock you for a loop.